Thank you. So when I sat down to write the first scene in what would be this book, the year was actually 2006. And I don't know if you remember this, but in 2006, the internet was something that was inside a computer. And you would go on the computer and you would find information about something, you would print it out and you would take that home to read. But I wanted to write a science fiction story, a near future story about a different world where computers were everywhere and the internet was everywhere and you could talk to computers and everything was, different. But of course I didn't know how near that future was. Because then 2007 came and the iPhone, and in a couple of years you could walk around with the internet in your pocket and you could talk to Siri, who acted as your personal assistant. And this was kind of like something that I'd imagined in my story, where there was an app called iMentor that helped the characters whenever they needed to make difficult choices in their lives, such as picking out the right meatballs in the store or the right partners for life. And my guess is a lot of you guys have been on Facebook today. Maybe you shared a story. Maybe you liked the story. And what was going on while you did that, of course, was that that company was harvesting your emotions. Because those little hearts and those angry faces that you click, that's the machine trying to figure out what makes us tick. So, what happens when human lives and emotions are turned into data? That's something I'm very interested in. And that's actually what happens in this book to one man, Sven Borg. Now, Sven Borg works as a corporate consultant, and he helps people understand their emotions and how to communicate them. He helps executives communicate better and project confidence and stand like this, all that sort of thing. And he's recruited to a special new project where there's an intelligent program called Sam that he will talk to and that will learn about his emotional quirks and his personality and help him improve. And Sam takes the form of an avatar on a screen that looks just like Sven and talks increasingly like Sven. It's a digital twin. And as Sven and his digital twin Sam interact and become closer, we also move in on the philosophical core of this book, which is, does Sam actually think and feel, even though when it appears that he does? And for that matter, does Sven think and feel? And what does actually Sam want with Sven? And that's more of the corporate thriller part. And when Sam appears to understand Sven better than his own wife does, what does that mean for their relationship? And that's the love triangle part. Well, now the book is out, and actually, as we speak, big technology companies are working on programs like Sam. And I discovered, as the book was coming out, that the term digital twin, which I thought I'd invented, was actually a thing out there in the world. And I also Googled the name that I'd invented for Sven's company, Human Content. And that turns out that's actually an existing company in Oslo. So I'm really glad that I finally got this book out before it turned from near future story to historical fiction. And now I'll read a little for you from one of the first interactions between Sam and Sven. So, I said to Sam, do you have a larger register of expressions than I do? Of course, I'm a digital system. So could you show me, give me a demonstration? Of course, with pleasure. That's great, especially that you'll do it with pleasure. He didn't quite catch the nuances of irony yet, it seemed. His brow furrowed in imitation of mine, and then his face was quiet again, as if he was preparing for an immense exertion. But that was an illusion. Everything was equally effortless. It all came to him easily. His world was larger than mine. Through the screen, he peered into mine. He smiled. Then he smiled more and more, his face stretching. I thought of snakes' jaws dislocating. My facial muscles tensed in futile reflex. He went back to the beginning, launching a new smile. This time it curved more upwards. I saw a naive version of myself, vulnerable, trustworthy, finally crossing the line over into imbecile. The face turned rounder, the eyes slipped apart, the expressions kept changing. The speed increased as though it was showing off. Anxious and sad expressions flowed in and out of each other, giving way to mildness and joy. It was like flying low over a landscape in constant change. I didn't know how long I'd been sitting there when I noticed that the desk was wet. I realized I was crying, and I listened for the sound of sobs, but all I could hear was a low electric hum from the corridor. Then I heard steps closing in, and I turned away from the door. "Hi," Nina's voice said behind me. Why should she show up now? I pulled my hand quickly away from my eyes and pretended to look for something in my bag. "Oh, hi," I said, without turning around. "How are you?" "Oh, good," she said, and then she went quiet. I felt my cheeks reddening, still wet. Finally, I found an old paper tissue in the bag. While retrieving a notebook, I pretended to sneeze quietly, a tiny explosion. And then I brought the tissue to my face and dried away the tears and snot. "Oh, sorry," I said, "a bit under the weather." "I thought I might ask you how things are going with you and Sam," Nina said. "Oh, great," I said. "Look, I need to go to a meeting." Her eyes tightened, as though she could smell weakness. I had to pull myself together. I bent over my briefcase. "We'll have to talk more later. No explanations, only weaklings explain. I'll see you later." I pulled out a smile, but simultaneously my hand rose, uninvited. That stupid hand came up and touched my eyebrow, as though I had something to hide. Of course I had something to hide. That's just what the hand was indicating. Thank you.